We thank you. We bid you good afternoon. Our topic is the future of Pan-Africanism and the New World Order, but simply, you know, the New World Order is nothing but the Old World Order. And the New World Order is necessary because the Old World Order is breaking down thanks to the resistance of the oppressed. And it is clear that the resistance of the oppressed is not going to diminish, it's going to intensify. So the New World Order may not even get a chance to impose itself like the Old World Order did. You must again see the word here is order, not justice. And all oppressors are concerned with is order so they can continue the exploitation. What we must be concerned with is justice, and the only way we can have that is by disrupting the order so that continual exploitation ceases. So for the New World Order and the Old World Order, it's just this SOS, same old, same old. Just that they're having a lot of trouble. They can't just walk in like they used to everywhere and take everything without anybody standing up to them. And they want to return it to the arena in which they can do whatever they want to do and make people stand up to it. But we have nothing to worry about. If we just look at history, we'll see that all history is a struggle of the oppressed against the oppressor. And even when the oppressed rise up and the oppressor knocks them down, the oppressed rises up again. The oppressor gets stronger, more technology, knocks the oppressed down, but they rise up again. And no matter how large the empire is raised, the oppressed rises up against the oppressor until they destroy the Roman Empire, until they destroy the British Empire, until they destroy the French Empire, and it's certain they're going to destroy the American Empire. Our relationship with the New Order will only be relationship we'll only be concerned with it in relation to Pan-Africanism. Now, you must understand Pan-Africanism and understand its process. All societies have a tendency to go from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates, from the family to the clan, to the tribe, to the village, to the nation, to the continent. This is innate to all social organizations. Not only is it innate to all social organizations, it is an evolutionary process. You can see the nature of this evolutionary process by looking at Europe, whose tribal wars have scarred the world, yet Europe speaks of continental unity and ensures that by 1992 it will be a continental-wide governmental apparatus. So wherever you can see this aspect, this human aspect, to go from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates is innate, not only innate, but evolutionary. This Africa has the same will to go from smaller to larger social aggregates. But this process, our evolutionary process to arrive at continental unity was stopped. It was interrupted by colonialism and slavery, two aspects of capitalism. And this colonialism and slavery is one of the worst holocausts that humanity has seen. It took 300 million of the young and strong out of Africa, killing 100 million on the way to arrive to allow them to be exploited by European imperialism. You must not assume, as has the enemy, that because the desire, the will for unity has been stopped, that it has been stopped in the desires of the people. On the contrary. In the book, The Myth of the Negro Past, Melville Herskovits properly points out that African culture, once suppressed, becomes more resilient, more resistant, and more insistent. Thus, while our evolutionary process has been interrupted, in no way has it diminished the will for unity on behalf of the African masses. But this evolutionary process being interrupted, the only way Africa can arrive at continental unity is through a revolutionary process. Then you must understand that this revolutionary process has been imposed upon Africa by the historically determined forces. Our evolutionary process was interrupted. This evolutionary process, which was interrupted, now leading Africa to a revolutionary process, we pointed out was interrupted by capitalism, its offshoots, slavery, and colonialism. Thus, any movement to unite Africa must be an anti-capitalist movement. If it is not an anti-capitalist movement, it will only further divide and fragment Africa. Now, of course, you know, because we live in a capitalist system and they try to confuse us so much, that's their job. Matter of fact, capitalism does not lie some of the time, it lies all of the time. I mean, I'm serious. Even when you look at their commercial, they're lying. You gotta fight. I mean, if you don't fight a commercial, you can end up in Saudi Arabia being all you want to be. You got to fight this system all the time, all the time. Capitalism, of course, is a system come to put cobwebs in our minds and make it appear as if Africans are no longer concerned with unity. Even they make it appear as if Europe can arrive at continental unity before Africa, and that can never happen. Yeah. Let me give you just 3 quick factors, just to show you, and the reason we're doing this is to show you that the desire for unity among the African masses has not diminished, in fact it has intensified. And their culture represented and showed everywhere, displayed clearly before all of mankind. Europe tells us that the reason Africa cannot unite is because we have so much tribal warfare. You know, we're always fighting each other with tribal warfare, and because of this tribal warfare, we can't come together. Well, if tribal warfare keeps a continent separated, Europe will never unite. Because the tribal warfares of Europe has not only scarred Europe, they've scarred the world. Because they've taken their tribal warfares outside of Europe. In the island, Trinidad, where I was born, the French fought, the British fought, the Spanish fought, the Portuguese for Trinidad. And if you look all around the world, you will find European imperialism clashed with themselves everywhere for taking the loot outside of Europe. So if it's tribalism that stops us from uniting, just the amount of French killed by the Germans in all of our tribal wars, we didn't kill that many. So the issue is clear. On the question of politics, you must look at it carefully. Africans seem to have a monopoly on corrupt leadership. I mean, the scum of our race dominates us. I mean, these pigs seek individual luxury in the midst of mass suffering, off the suffering of the masses. Yeah. So there's no question here. We have the most corrupt leadership in the world. I mean, our bourgeoisie, all we need to do is roll them up in a big black ball and shoot them to death. But the force of our people's desire for unity politically is so strong that none of our corrupt leaders can come before the people and question African unity. Even the one who's paid by imperialist agents to divide us must come before the people and say, I'm for African unity, but we need to go slow. You know, we need not to try that one. Let's take time. But none of them can come and say they're against it because of the power of the political strength. If you will pick up your newspapers, every day you will find a European leader, whether it's Major, whether it's Mitterrand, or don't care who it is, making the statement that European unity is not good for our country. If we have it, it will raise the prices of agriculture, it will raise our tariffs, it will raise problems for tourism. I mean, and they rashly discuss the need to keep Europe divided. This couldn't happen. And finally, on the cultural level, whereas the mass level, you can see the real weight of it. I've heard songs sung to Germany, to England, to France, but I've never heard one song sung to Europe. The songs I've heard sung about Africa, I could stop just with Bob Marley alone. And finally, to show you the cultural weight and desire of the masses of the people for unity in Africa as opposed to Europe, you will never find anybody wearing a map of Europe around them.